Resuming debate. When we were last debating the bill, member. Resuming debate. The honourable member for Richmond Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to rise today to speak on Bill C-13, the Keeping Canada's Economy and Jobs Growing Act, a very important bill to residents in my riding of Richmond Hill and indeed to all Canadians. This bill builds on our government's commitment to continue the work over the last 5 years, focusing on what matters most to Canadian families. It continues our long-term plan launched in 2006 to heighten Canada's advantages through a national economic roadmap that would truly make Canada a world economic leader and improve the quality of life for students, seniors, families, and workers. Indeed, it is because of this government's prudent and visionary decisions since then, Mr. Speaker, that Canada has weathered the global economic turmoil of the last 3 years better than most other advanced countries. As we see the difficulties endured by so many other countries around the globe, we recognize that this strong, stable, national majority Conservative government is acting swiftly to ensure that Canada's economy continues to grow and remain strong. Mr. Speaker, I would like to remind all honourable members in this House that before the global recession hit, our government paid down nearly $40 billion of the debt to bring Canada's debt level to its lowest in 25 years. We were well on our way to more competitive taxation levels. Mr. Speaker, this is why we were able to act promptly, stimulating our economy as the downturn in the global economy necessitated appropriate action. I am proud that under the leadership of our Prime Minister, Canada currently has the strongest job growth record and the longest net debt to GDP ratio, the lowest net debt to GDP ratio in the entire G7. Both the International Monetary Fund and Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development anticipate Canada to lead the way in economic growth over the next few years. The reason for this enviable record, Mr. Speaker, is because this government's top priority and focus has always been the economy with focus on a long-term, low-tax plan to create jobs and growth. Mr. Speaker, despite our strong domestic economy, we remain in a period of heightened global uncertainty. And as has been mentioned many times in this House, Canada is not immune from global economic turbulence. This is precisely why Bill C-13, the next phase of Canada's Economic Action Plan, is so essential for Canada's continued economic stability. Bill C-13 invests in key areas that support job creation. Mr. Speaker, our government's priority has always been Canadian families, emphasizing help for students, seniors, families, and communities while maintaining our fiscal advantage. Bill C-13 contains strategic investments that will contribute to long-term economic growth and prosperity for Canadians. Mr. Speaker, one might ask, how will Bill C-13 create jobs and economic growth? For one, it recognizes that it is the private sector that drives growth and wealth creation. We know that small and medium-sized businesses have been leading the way in job creation over the last 2 years. This is very important in Richmond Hill, Mr. Speaker, where 98% of all businesses are small or medium-sized, with a vast majority of those having less than 20 employees. This is why we will continue to support entrepreneurs and job creators in Richmond Hill and right across the country with key initiatives in the next phase of Canada's Economic Action Plan, Bill C-13. Let me highlight but a few. One, a temporary $1,000 hiring credit for small business will help up to 525,000 employers defray the costs of additional hiring. Two, a 2-year extension of the accelerated capital cost allowance treatment for investments in manufacturing and processing machinery and equipment will support our manufacturers. The extension by 16 weeks of the work sharing program will help employers going through a rough patch to retain their employees and the skills they contribute to their business. A reduction in the increase of employment insurance premium rates in 2012 from 10 cents to 5 cents will stimulate job creation. Reducing unnecessary red tape through the continued work of the Red Tape Reduction Commission will allow entrepreneurs to focus on what they do best, growing their business and creating jobs. Increased funding for the National Research Council's Industrial Research Assistance Program will support collaborative projects between colleges and businesses and help strengthen our manufacturing sector by accelerating the adoption of information and communications technologies. Further reducing the corporate tax rate will make Canada very attractive as a place to invest in and do business in. In fact, Canada will have the lowest overall tax rate on new business investment in the G7, a fact that I am very proud of. Keeping taxes low allows our businesses to invest in their operations, creating much-needed jobs for Canadians. These are the very kinds of measures, Mr. Speaker, that will help small businesses like those in my riding of Richmond Hill. Nestled in the heart of the GTA, Richmond Hill is one of Canada's fastest-growing and most diverse communities. It is a shining example of Canada's dynamic communities and families, seniors, small and medium businesses, organizations, and the municipality find that the stability that our government has infused into our economy is the key factor that has positioned us as world leaders throughout the global economic crisis. And now, Mr. Speaker, this next phase of Canada's Economic Action Plan, Bill C-13, continues to build on our strong economic policy with help for all Canadians and particularly for those that most need it, our seniors, our families, and our communities. For example, 680,000 low-income seniors are benefiting from the enhancements to the Guaranteed Income Supplement. Those who need it most are receiving an additional $600 per year if single, and $840 per year if a couple. A new caregiver tax credit on up to $2,000 will financially help those looking after loved ones with infirmities, including, for the first time, spouses, common law partners, and children. Homeowners are being helped with the extension until March 31st of 2012 of the Eco Energy Home Retrofit Program. $400 million has been allocated across the country to help homeowners defray the costs of making their homes more energy efficient, an investment that at the same time is creating jobs and stimulating local economies. A new children's arts tax credit on up to $500 in eligible fees assists families with the costs associated with arts, cultural and developmental activities for their children. Mr. Speaker, arts, culture, and educational activities are very important in Canada, and especially in my riding of Richmond Hill. Last week, I was at Cosmo Music, highlighting this very measure, which is in effect for the 2011 taxation year. Parents in Richmond Hill are very pleased to know this kind of assistance is available to them, and they appreciate knowing the value and recognition our government places on these types of activities. I am also very pleased that Bill C-13 makes permanent the annual gas tax funding for municipalities each and every year. You will remember, Mr. Speaker, that it was this government who doubled this investment from $1 billion to $2 billion.
That's great for the communities.
Permanent gas tax funds give our municipal partners stable, predictable funding that they can count on to assist with their infrastructure needs. This is very significant, particularly in Richmond Hill. As an example, Mr. Speaker, the town can now expect over $5 million each and every year and incorporate this revenue into their budgetary process.
Fantastic.
These and other measures in Bill C-13 continue to focus on what matters most to my riding and to all Canadians: creating jobs and promoting economic growth. We are maintaining our focus on the priorities set out in the next phase of Canada's Economic Action Plan by supporting job creation and providing support for families, seniors, and communities. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I call on all members in this House, all sides, to support the important initiatives in this next phase of Canada's Economic Action Plan that will continue on our nation's proven path of economic stability. I look forward to the passage of Bill C-13 Keeping Canada's Economy and Jobs Growing Act and the benefits it brings to all Canadians. Thank you.
Questions and comments?